welcome to another episode of Julia's Trucking Cafe Trucking News Hour. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. Decided to jump on here. It's Sunday afternoon, and I apologize for not getting the show off last week Saturday. Stuff happens, so thank you so much for joining me. Real quickly, I do go through and run some settings real quick. In our first story, well, before I get started on that, let me flip back here real quickly. Please like, follow, subscribe. It definitely helps if you're on YouTube. It definitely helps with the what do I want to say? I'm losing my train of thought here. With YouTube and how to find the show, and all this kind of happy stuff. I completely lost the word that I was looking for. I know you will tell me in the chat, but anyway. So if you wouldn't mind, please like, follow, and subscribe, share this out to all of your channels. I would greatly appreciate it. So now let's get to the news. You can see I'm kind of out of sorts this morning. In our first story, a driver is deemed a danger to the public after transporting his half-sisters in the trailer of his semi. A truck driver is being held without bail for being a danger to the public after transporting his half-sisters in the back of his refrigerated trailer. This happened in Linden, Utah, when a tractor-trailer driven by 28-year-old Jacob Scott lost a tire, creating a pileup crash. According to the local news, during the investigation of this accident, officers noticed two sets of eyes peering out of Scott's refrigerated trailer. Police then opened the trailer. Quote, at that point, we saw a 12-year-old and a 14-year-old girl standing in the back of the trailer with the milk and the meat products. It was then discovered that the two girls were half-sisters to the Scott and his other passenger. The group was reportedly traveling to Salt Lake City to visit their older sister. Quote, they were not being transported against their will, said this Lieutenant Morgan. We initially thought that, especially when we saw that they had several duffel bags and some backpacks with them. While officials have determined the girls were not being trafficked, authorities still chose to arrest Scott on suspicion of third-degree felony aggravated child abuse. Also reported to the New York Post. Scott is currently being held in the Utah County Jail without bail after the judge cited substantial evidence that he is a substantial danger to the public, and I'm sure being held over for trial. Up next, FMCSA kicks another ELD off the list of approved ELDs that you can use. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration removed another ELD, electronic logging device, from the agency's list of approved devices, making it the fourth ELD to be revoked so far the month of this fall. FMCSA removed the following ELD from the agency's list of approved devices due to failure to meet the minimum standards. This model is Robinhood ELD. Really? Carriers using this device are advised to take the following actions: discontinue using the revoked ELD and revert to paper logs or logging software to record required hours of service data. Replace the revoked ELD with a compliant one before the 18th, which was last week of November. The FMCSA grants carriers a 60-day window to replace the revoked ELD. During that time, law enforcement is encouraged not to cite the driver for no record of duty status or failing to use a registered ELD. Officers should then ask to see the driver's paper logging software to confirm their hours of service information. The FMCSA has placed 3 ELDs on the list of revoked devices for failure to meet the minimum standards, and they are TT-ELD, ELOG 42, and Renaissance ELD, along with this Robin Hood. And Arkansas, in this article, sets sights on hiring qualified drivers after 279 drivers are placed out of service under stricter visa and ELP rules. Arkansas is setting its sights on hiring qualified truck drivers in the wake of the recent visa and ELP enforcement that has put nearly 300 drivers out of service at the time of writing this article. Arkansas Trucking Association President Shannon Newton says that the Act 604 has put pressure on the state's drivers to demonstrate sufficient English proficiency. Well, if you weren't hiring people that couldn't read English, you wouldn't have this problem, now would you? And possess a proper work visas if required, that the state doesn't need to worry yet. Quote, since June, they have put 279 drivers out of service. Good! It's a hell of a lot more than that for not being able to meet that requirement, Newton said. Quote, our position on immigration is really indifferent to that. Like our position is the driver qualified? Is he medically qualified? Is he safe? Does he have the proper training and the credentials? Across the board, you see these efforts to try to make sure that everybody's playing by the same set of rules. Quote, from our perspective as an association is making sure that our employers are informed, like what is the expectation? How do they become compliant? They should know. How do they ensure that the drivers are hiring do have the appropriate credentials? Newton said. Newton also claims that the freight recession over the last few years, has actually created an oversupply of drivers, so replacing those that have been put on the out of service list is not an issue that the state of Arkansas needs to be concerned about. The recession in driving, really? There again, if you're letting every Tom, Dick, and Harry get a doggone CDL, and they're getting them on unlawful means, like I've talked about, officers getting bribed, schools not following through and teaching them the proper standards for obtaining a CDL. You're just throwing them out there to anybody and everybody, just like flipping hats. Just throw a CDL and see who's going to catch it and where it's going to stick. Then you won't have this recession in trucking, and then all these drivers are cutting the rates and hauling freight for pennies on the dollar. I'm like, seriously? We're hiring folks who are not afraid that there are no issues, so there's no fear in our retail stores. We don't see it from the wholesalers that we deal with, and even those that ship direct from the manufacturer. The Steve Good says with Arkansas Retailers Association. So, it's just, it's amazing to me. You're crying about a recession in trucking, but yet you're throwing out CDLs like they're candy. And in this story, a school bus driver helps to save the life of a truck driver stopped at an intersection while the truck driver was having a medical emergency. A school bus driver was able to help save the life of a trucker stopped in an intersection during a medical emergency in Texas. The school bus driver, Sencio Homer Sestacia, was on his usual bus route, according to the local news, and he was at Val Verde Road and Frontage Road just before 6 in the morning when he noticed a semi-truck slowing down in the intersection. I'm sorry, I'm reading this kind of fast. He says he initially thought the rig had broken down. but suddenly decided to go check on the driver. He's like, I got a hunch to get off the bus. He said, I walked up to the truck and I started knocking on the door. Well, I didn't get any response. Then he started knocking on the window and still nothing. His daughter that was driving behind him, I guess she was following him because it was what he understood. He was going to drop off the truck at a truck stop, he continued. Together, the school bus driver and the daughter worked to keep the truck driver awake as they waited for medical assistance to arrive. We started to get him out of the vehicle slowly because he wasn't reacting. He evaluated the situation as quickly as possible because in this case, if it was a stroke, every second counts, and that can make a difference between life and death, he stated. The truck driver was taken to the hospital where he's expected to have a full recovery. Details at the time of the writing of the article of his condition were not released. The truck driver's family has since thanked this Mr. Sustacia for his help in attempting to help this truck driver. So thank you very much for this help on this. And in this story, as you can see, a truck driver is filmed attempting a U-turn on a dead-end suburban street that was at the end of a cul-de-sac. Truck driver was filmed attempting a U-turn on this cul-de-sac, and a driver makes his way down to the end of the cul-de-sac, reaches the end of the street, but the driver attempts to make a U-turn anyway, wreaking some serious havoc. So let's watch. Now there is no sound because there's music playing, and I don't want to get a copyright strike. So this gentleman saying all he was trying to do is walk their dog. Now there's a couple of clips of this that's been taken over, like time elapsed. See there? That's somebody else, another person walking their dog. He crawled up on somebody's lawn, the truck did. Now you see him backing up. The dog is sniffing around doing its thing. And he's like, now what am I going to do? He takes down this guy's, that's a wrought iron fence. And he barely misses that car. And mows over somebody's lawn. And here again, this is the guy that did it, that I'm sure doesn't know how to speak English, and it's Roadliner Log Inc. So there you go. This is the kind of drivers we have out there. And in our next story, a California man is sentenced to prison for breaking into a cab and assaulting a sleeping female truck driver. A California man was sentenced to prison for sexually assaulting a female truck driver in Oxnard, California. Now, this happened back in 2020, back during COVID. It took him 5 years to sentence this guy. He was sentenced to 18 years and 8 months in state prison. He pled guilty back in September to felony charges of assault with intent to commit rape and forcible oral copulation. Officials say the victim was asleep in the cab of her truck in an industrial area in Oxnard when this Misa Jr. entered her vehicle. After demanding money, Misa Jr. reportedly entered the sleeper berth where he physically restrained the female truck driver and sexually assaulted her. The district attorney's office said that the truck driver resisted and was eventually able to escape the attack. She ran to a nearby business for help while this Misa Jr. fled the scene. Quote, responding officers recovered surveillance video from a nearby business depicting victim's truck during the attack. The video showed the assailant exiting the victim's truck following the attack, wearing a distinctive yellow sweatshirt and discarding a water bottle. Officers recovered the water bottle, which was later tested by the Forensic Services Bureau. A DNA consistent with Meza Jr. was identified. They had him on file. You could see, all of his tats and everything. I have tattoos. I'm not saying anything about the tattoos, but they're pretty identifiable. Additionally, Meza Jr. was contacted by police officers in unrelated incidents shortly before and shortly after the attack on the victim. In each of these contacts was wearing the same yellow sweatshirt. He was arrested in August of 2024 following an investigation by the Oxnard Police Department with the assistance of the DA's office and the sexual assault kit, which assists in unsolved sexual assault cases. And they did arrest him, and he stood trial and, of course, was found guilty. So, another predator off the streets. That's a good thing. And unfortunately, a truck driver passes away of electrocution in a farming accident. A truck driver passes away of electrocution at a farm in Illinois. It happened back the last part of October. And there again, I understand that, this happened last month. I've had comments in the description and everything of why am I reporting on the news that happened a month ago. I am always late with the news. I'm not a fortune teller. I don't have a crystal ball. I can't see what's going on. I'm always going to be, after the fact with the news. That's just, plus I work 60 hours a week, 12-hour shifts. So I hop on here when I have a chance. Anyway, back to the story. This, according to local news, a 56-year-old man was operating a John Deere tractor, pulling a grain cart, gravity box, when he positioned it at an area near the ditch along the roadway in order to dump the grain into a semi-truck that was parked on the roadway. So you have these semi-trucks that have the hopper bottoms on the bottom, you see them, and they have the cover that opens up in the top. You can see a little bit in the picture of how that tarp rolls back to the side, and that's how they pour it in. And it's one of those gravity boxes with the 4 wheels, and then it has the funnel, I guess you want to call it. It has an auger system type of system. During the loading process, the grain chute connected with the overhead power lines and tore them down, and they fell on top of the tractor. 38-year-old truck driver walked over to the tractor and tried to climb into it, causing him to get electrocuted. This doesn't make any sense, though. The truck driver died of the electrocution at the scene. The tractor operator was transported to the hospital in fair condition. I don't know why the truck driver got out. I guess he tried to save the tractor operator. So I guess this 56-year-old man, I don't know if he got electrocuted or not. The story is kind of vague here. I can only read what's in the article, excuse me. And he just said that during the loading process, it got, and I'm also, let me check something here real quickly. Yeah, the article doesn't say. So it's vague of what happened. The 56-year-old, so the chute connected with the power lines. Okay, so this chute right here that's dumping the grain, there was power lines apparently along the roadway. So he's got, you got your field, then you got a ditch, and then you got the roadway. So he pulled the gravity box over to the edge of the field, or there's no ditch, and then he just pulled it next to the roadway, and then he runs the chute up and into the truck that was parked on the roadway. But if there's power lines running next to the roadway, when he went in and was putting that chute over the truck, it touched the power lines, and it's not saying, I guess the guy in the tractor got electrocuted. Well, then I guess the truck driver tried to help the guy. Now, this is just speculation. I do not know. So the truck driver got out and tried to get into the tractor, tried to climb in it, and causing him to get electrocuted. And the truck driver passed away at the scene, sadly. But the tractor operator was then transported to the hospital in fair condition. So, you know, they both could have got electrocuted, just the tractor operator not as bad because of the rubber on the tires. And I guess this truck driver may have gotten grounded, and the reason why that he got electrocuted. So our thoughts and prayers go with the truck driver's family. So sad to see that happen. And in this story, a truck crash unleashes aggressive lab monkeys onto a Mississippi interstate. You cannot make this stuff up, people. Jasper County Sheriff's Office responded to a statement from Tulane University. Jasper County Sheriff's Office, let me skip down a little bit, is responding to an afternoon crash that allowed several lab monkeys to escape onto a Mississippi interstate. The truck hauling the monkeys from Tulane University overturned around the 117-mile marker on I-59 north of Heidelberg, Mississippi. This truck was carrying rhesus monkeys from Tulane University. The monkeys are approximately 40 pounds. They are aggressive to humans, and they require personal protective equipment, PPE, to handle them. The monkeys carrying hepatitis C, herpes, and COVID, said the sheriff's office. An update from approximately 2 p.m. when all this happened said that all but one of the escaped monkeys had been destroyed. Mississippi Wildlife and Fisheries is on site as police continue to search for the remaining animal. Later on, several days later, I saw a story that the monkey came up onto somebody's property and was then destroyed as well in that area. Tulane University will send a team to retrieve the monkeys that were still caged. The drivers were advised not to approach if they see the remaining monkey and to instead call 911. Apparently, this person went ahead and put the monkey out of its misery. An update to the sheriff's office responded to a statement from Tulane denying that the monkeys were infected with COVID or other illnesses. Police said that the driver of the truck hauling the monkeys informed local law enforcement that the animals were dangerous to humans. And now, how about we do a short commercial break?
Expose a myth that success is all about talent or luck. You need to watch this if you've ever wanted to give up on your dreams. The real secret ingredient? Perseverance. Let's be real. Everyone hits a wall at some point. Maybe you've failed a test, been rejected from a job, or watched a dream slip through your fingers. Here's the thing. Everyone fails. What matters is what you do next. Did you know Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb? Or that J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 publishers before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon? The truth is, perseverance is the common thread in every great success story. Think of perseverance as your superpower. It's what keeps you moving when things get tough, what helps you learn from mistakes, and what turns setbacks into comebacks. The best part? Perseverance isn't something you're born with. You build it, moment by moment. every time you refuse to quit. So next time life knocks you down, remember this. It's not about how many times you fall. It's about getting back up again and again. Because the power of perseverance isn't just about reaching your goals. It's about becoming the kind of person who never gives up on themselves. So whatever you're facing today, don't quit. Keep going. Your breakthrough might be just around the corner.
And because that screen passed a little bit too quickly, you can find your copy of The Power of Perseverance, Achieving Goals Despite the Odds on Amazon and Kindle. I'm also trying to record an audio version of the book. It is digital, also in paperback. On that note, I am opening up my own bookstore. Besides doing the podcast, I am also creating coloring books that I will be doing a little video about. And if you would like to see what kind of coloring books I am creating, you can go to jvasbooks.store. That's jvasbooks.store, all lowercase, to check out books for coloring books for your little creator for Christmas. Let's get back to the news. See which story I'm at now. There we go. Arizona troopers find $3 million in cocaine stashed in an aftermarket compartment during a truck inspection. Troopers with the Arizona Department of Public Safety uncovered hundreds of pounds of drugs during a commercial vehicle safety inspection on I-17. The Arizona DPS Canine District Troopers conducted an inspection on a semi-truck along I-17, and during that inspection, troopers discovered approximately 233 pounds of cocaine concealed in an aftermarket compartment inside the refrigerated trailer. How I can tell that's a refrigerated trailer is the bottom floor of the trailer. You see all those grooves. That's for drainage and cooling the trailer. Officials say that the cocaine, worth approximately $3 million on the street, was being smuggled from California to New Jersey. Truck drivers facing charges including possession and transportation of a narcotic for sale. Quote, the seizure reflects the vigilance and determination of our troopers in disrupting drug trafficking, blah, 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 blah. They say that every time. It's like a canned message, so that's why I kind of run through it. And our top story is a semi-truck bypassed a runaway ramp on Wolf Creek Pass before fatally plummeting down the embankment. A truck driver lost his life in a crash caused by suspected brake failure on Wolf Creek Pass, according to the Colorado State Patrol. Wolf Creek Pass is extremely dangerous. What is it, 8% grade, 10% grade? And your brakes better be in good working order. Troopers responded to the crash on Highway 160, Wolf Creek Pass, at approximately 161 mile marker in Pagosa Springs, Colorado. 23-year-old New York resident was operating a 2020 Freightliner hauling a load of canned drinks going south on Highway 160 when the truck hit the barrier on the right side of the wall and he glanced off. The Freightliner crashed through the guardrail on the left side of the highway and plummeted down the steep embankment. Troopers say that the truck and trailer were destroyed in the fall down the embankment. Yeah, you're not going to have a lot left. The driver was ejected and he passed away at the scene. The initial investigation revealed that the semi was traveling at an excessive speed, going too fast down the hill, down the mountain, with smoke coming, and he smoked the brakes, and that the driver failed to take the runaway ramp a mile and a half before the crash. The state patrol said that the truck trailer split open before plummeting down the embankment, causing a large spill of the cargo. Colorado Department of Transportation plow was used to clear the roadway, and the crash was remaining under investigation at the time of the writing of this article. So, as I always say, let's go a little faster, people. You go down the mountain in a gear lower than you crawled up the mountain. For all of you newbies that are just tuning into the show, that's like everybody going down Black Mountain. Black Mountain's 45 miles an hour. Black Mountain's in North Carolina on 40. And you would not believe how the idiots go down that mountain a hell of a lot faster than 45. Every day when I hear these stories, I am so glad I retired from being over the road. And this is, with all this mess going on, this is the last thing that we need. A driverless trucking lane is going to be opened up in Texas from Fort Worth to El Paso. And a company plans to deploy hundreds of autonomous semis on this lane in 2026. Aurora Innovation Inc. announced the launch of a second driverless trucking lane in Texas. I didn't know there was a first one. Apparently I missed that story. Back in October, they announced the opening of a driverless trucking lane from Fort Worth to El Paso to bolster the company's existing commercial operations, which include a Dallas to Houston driverless route. Any of you watching this episode, any of you watching this episode, please give me a comment or leave a comment in the comments if you have witnessed any of these driverless trucks. I have witnessed a few of them back in my day, but they were going down a regular highway. But if you see this driverless lane and you see the trucks going from Dallas to Houston, leave me a comment. Excuse me, I'm trying to get rid of the hiccups. The launch of a 600-mile lane from Fort Worth to El Paso, just 6 months after an inaugural Dallas to Houston route, marks the fastest scaling to a second market in the U.S. self-driving industry. Staffing challenges and the difficulty of completing the 10-hour haul in a single day make the route daunting for carriers, underscoring the Aurora drivers' value in providing reliable, round-the-clock operations, said their new press release. Aurora said that the company has surpassed 100,000 driverless miles, operating 5 autonomous trucks with perfect driverless on-time and safety record. For now. Aurora says they will build on the successes demonstrated by the driverless routes in Texas by deploying hundreds of driverless trucks with its next-gen Aurora driver hardware in 2026. Is there a second driver in the truck? Is it done by remote control? Is the driver in the truck remote controlling the truck? Or is there someone else in a different location doing it? I'm going to investigate when I get a chance. Quote, 6 months out from launch, we're achieving more industry firsts, expanding quickly and paving the way to deploy hundreds of trucks next year, said Chris Urmson, a co-founder and CEO at Aurora. Expanding to El Paso, notching over 100,000 driverless miles, and integrating our new hardware with multiple truck platforms extends our strong lead. So he says. There's a first time for everything, people. I'm waiting for the first wreck. Just saying. Up next, repair of I-90 Bullfrog overpass damaged by an oversized load, expected to take months. Each one of those cross members is underneath the deck of the bridge. And how many did he take out? At least most of them. Washington governor has announced that the repair of the westbound I-90 Bullfrog overpass will likely take several months after the bridge was struck by an oversized load. The overpass was damaged back in October near Cle Elum, Washington. The repair timeline was announced that the Washington State Department of Transportation worked 22 hours straight after the accident to remove all damaged portions of the overpass. This work allowed westbound Interstate 90 to reopen very quickly. He's thanking the crews and contractors who moved quickly to reopen the westbound I-90. But the repair work for this damage is just beginning. In order to repair that overpass, westbound I-90 will need to be shut down periodically, which is expected to create traffic issues for the region. Most of the construction is expected to occur at night. Complete timeline for the project is expected to be released in December next month. I-90 is one of the busiest routes in the state from east to west transportation. We see about 17,000 drivers going westbound and about 1,500 vehicles traveling over the overpass every day. It is going to have an impact on drivers, specifically if you're trying to get somewhere in a timely manner. The loss of this overpass severely impacts the Cle Elum, Roslyn, and Suncadia area. We will work as quickly as possible to replace the vital connection for the community. We've seen too many bridge strikes and their impacts on local communities over the last few months. They are preventable, and we are working on strategies to reduce them, end quote. Ferguson issued an emergency proclamation over the damage. The state is seeking federal funding, of course, for the repairs, as well as reimbursement from the truck driver and the other responsible parties. Truck driver in the incident, 64-year-old Canadian trucker Alan Bergsma, had a permit to haul the oversized load but did not follow specific guidelines. As part of the permit, Bergsma was required to use certain exits to avoid low overpasses. In this specific situation, Bergsma was supposed to use exit 80 and re-enter I-90 farther down, allowing him to avoid the I-90 Bullfrog overpass. He has been cited for permit violations. In other words, he didn't get off on exit 80 off I-90 and go around the bridge. I'm fine. It ain't gonna hurt nothing. I'm fine. Not saying that's what he said, but it's a possibility. And USDOT will go after CDL mills producing unqualified truck drivers. There again, the government is always 5 to 10 years behind on what the hay is going on. Okay, I want to check on something real quick. All right. USDOT is turning its attention toward trucking schools that are placing inadequately trained drivers behind the wheel. In a news conference held back in October, Secretary Sean Duffy provided an update on recent developments in federal policy related to commercial driver license CDL standards. Duffy's remarks included a promise to go after CDL mills that are allowing unqualified individuals to gain license needed to operate commercial vehicles on our roadways. Quote, a lot of these students are coming through these schools and they can't speak the language. They can't speak English. Many of them are not proficient in the English language, he states. Many of them don't have the skills to operate these rigs on the roads, but they're still getting a damn license. I'm saying that. But nonetheless, these schools are certifying them that they're qualified. Yeah, after you pay them enough. He promises we're going to take a hard look at those individuals and there will be serious consequences for them. Really? What are you planning on doing, Duffy? Duffy also said that USDOT will investigate trucking companies that hire unqualified drivers. CDL mill crackdown announcement comes just days after Tom Cotton and Congressman Andy Barr penned a letter to Duffy, asked for federal investigation into the trucking schools that exploit loopholes that churn out minimally trained drivers or not trained at all. These operations offer rushed text-focused courses with little to no hands-on experience, leaving new entrants ill-equipped to handle the new real-world demands of interstate trucking, lawmakers told Duffy. Truckers applaud the USDOT's trucking school crackdown. OOIDA, Independent Owner Operators Association, praised the USDOT for promising to take action against the mills. Secretary Duffy and FMCSA Administrator Bars are right to crack down on CDL mills and the trucking companies that rely on unqualified drivers. Years of misguided driver shortage policies have flooded America's roadways with poorly trained newcomers operating 80,000-pound trucks, and innocent motorists are paying the price. Trucking is a skilled profession, not cheap labor. We applaud the Trump administration commitment to restoring standards in trucking that would not only save lives of motorists on roadways, but help improve professionalism in our industry. Get rid of the flip-flops. At my job, a young man showed up. Share a story with you, a real-life story. Young man showed up, only had 2 months experience. He spoke English okay, wearing flip-flops. Asked my coworker, should I dolly down my landing gear if I disconnect from the trailer? On the picture, you have the truck in the front, you have the trailer in the back. If you don't roll down the peg legs, the landing gear, that truck nose is hitting the ground, people. There again, I'm saying this for people who never driven a truck before. My coworker kind of snickered and said, if you want to get back underneath the trailer, I would suggest you roll down the landing gear. And then I had to help him roll up the landing gear. Didn't have to, but I did. That he couldn't figure out which is high gear and low gear. And then he was pacing outside of his truck while waiting to load and hurry up, hurry up. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm running a yard dog now. I'm running a spotter truck now. And I said, the first thing you don't want to do is piss off a yard spotter. They really need to be your best friend. Because if you have a trailer that you're dropping and hooking and you can't get to, who are you going to call? And I'm not talking Ghostbusters. You're going to call a spotter, like myself, to come and pull your trailer out for you. So, y'all, it's best to treat us nicely. And that we run the show. We have the right of way. Wherever you are. Walmart, distribution center, grocery warehouses, paper mills. Spotters always have the right of way, people. Not y'all. You're a visitor. Anyway, getting off my soapbox on that. So yeah, 2 months. And I had to help him. In this story, a truck driver admits to watching anime in moments before a fatal crash. I had to look up what anime was. That's how it's pronounced, anime. It is Oriental animation, cartoons. He was watching that on his phone, driving down the road before this crash took place. A truck driver is admitted to watching anime in the moments before a fatal crash in Oklahoma. Accident happened back over the summer on Interstate 44 in Oklahoma. According to the local news, 50-year-old David Ray Carlson was driving a semi-truck going eastbound on I-44 when he left his lane and struck a parked Oklahoma Turnpike Authority vehicle. Zach Reinhart, who was outside of the... Oh, and the employee, Zach Reinhart, who was outside of the vehicle. So not only did he strike the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority car, but also the worker. Another employee inside the vehicle was injured in the accident. Carlson was not hurt. Carlson initially told investigators that he had dropped his phone while driving and crashed the semi while trying to retrieve his phone, reaching down to try to grab your phone while you're going down the road. He then since admitted that he was watching anime at the time of the crash, but told investigators that he only uses it as background noise to keep from zoning out while he's driving. If you're that tired, go take a nap, pull over at a service plaza, grab a nap, go to the bathroom, take a walk around, get out of the truck for a little while. 30 minutes. Take a 30-minute break. That's why we have to take a 30-minute break in between 8 hours of driving. Witnesses told troopers that Carlson was having trouble maintaining his lane prior to the crash, and dash cam videos from other vehicles confirm that claim. Carlson is charged with first-degree manslaughter. He is scheduled to be arraigned. He was arraigned earlier in the month of November, and as I get more information on this story, of course, I will post updates to this. So he was having trouble keeping his lane, probably dozing off, zoning out, whatever, weaving, and then turn around and end up hitting somebody. In Michigan, DOT announces a toll hike for the Blue Water Bridge. Passenger commercial vehicle drivers will pay more to cross the Port Huron Bridge starting next month in December. Effective December 1st, the toll rate, actually next week, will go up from $1 for eastbound span of the Blue Water Ridge. It will go up $1, I mean. Vehicle states currency, cars are $5. Each extra axle is $5 for trucks and buses. It's $5.25 per axle. Edge pass commuter is 50-cent discount per crossing. The increased toll revenue will go toward offsetting increased maintenance and operation costs, as well as toward funding construction improvements for this Blue Water Bridge Plaza. Quote, this increase is second in a planned staggered increase that began in 2024. While not required, Michigan Department of Transportation previously chose to engage the public and regular commuters before making a final decision regarding rate increases. Following an overwhelming response from public survey, the administration implemented the first dollar rate increase December 1st of 2024, and this is the second increase beginning this December in 2025. The overall rate increase follows 14 years of no changes to the toll rates for commuter and commercial vehicles, says Michigan. And up next, a limo bus driver in a crash that injured 11 lacked the CDL designation and a medical certificate. Michigan State Police said that a bus driver and company involved in an injury crash lacked multiple certifications. This happened the end of October, southbound I-75, Frenchtown Township, Michigan. Troopers say that a 2008 Ford Super Duty limo bus left the roadway for an unknown reason, rolled several times, resulting in multiple passengers being ejected. 11 of the 15 bus passengers were hospitalized, 8 with minor injuries, 2 with serious injuries, and 1 with critical injuries. The bus driver, 69-year-old male from Detroit, said that he had no memory of the crash. That means he blacked out. Drugs or alcohol do not appear to be factors. Following an investigation of the post-commercial vehicle enforcement, officers determined the driver did not have the proper group designation on his commercial driver's license, CDL, required to operate the vehicle. In other words, you have to have a passenger endorsement in order to operate a school bus on your CDL. You can't just operate a bus because you have a CDL. In addition, the company operating the bus did not possess valid operating authority to transport passengers. Bus driver was cited for operating without a proper vehicle group designation, which is a misdemeanor, careless driving, which is civil, and no medical certificate attached to his CDL. The investigation is ongoing at the time of the writing of this article. If you witness a crash or have information at the time, this was there again, the end of October. And like I said, again, I'm going to be always late with reporting the news. And a truck driver faces DUI and open container charges after concerned citizens tip off California Highway Patrol. One second. A truck driver is facing alcohol-related charges after California Highway Patrol was tipped off by concerned citizens. This happened the first week of November. They responded after citizens reported a semi-truck driving recklessly on Highway 99 in Visalia, California area. The troopers were able to locate and stop the suspect. He had a bottle of black velvet and a bunch of water. The driver was arrested for DUI and open container after officers discovered alcohol inside the cab of the truck. Troopers are encouraging citizens to continue to report any dangerous driving behavior by calling 911. So yeah, no, you can't do it in your semi. I don't care if it's your house or not. You don't be doing it while you're driving, goofy. And TA roadside assistance is suspended until further notice for a safety review. Travel Centers of America has suspended its roadside assistance services indefinitely as a review safety protocol. Please, there again, leave a message in the comments if you are listening to this podcast and are not on YouTube, but are one of my followers on Facebook or on X. Please leave a comment if this has changed. I cannot find anything that this suspension is has been lifted, but it's just the roadside assistance. So on the side of the highway is what I mean. They will come to a truck stop. They will come to a parking lot. They will come to a rest area, but they will no longer be changing tires or any kind of vehicle repairs along the shoulder of the highway. They made a decision to temporarily pause emergency roadside calls while they review and enhance their safety procedures. This pause will allow us to ensure our team members have the right tools, training, and processes in place to safely assist professional drivers out on the road, said the TA's vice president of fleet sales and channel partner programs and small fleets. To our valued guests, our safety and the safety of our team members always our top priority. There is no estimated timeline for the pause roadside assistance and safety review, and no official reason for the pause have been released. However, the pause does come after October 23rd death of a TA technician, Ethan Schultz, who was servicing a Freightliner on the side of westbound Route 80 in New Jersey when he was struck by another semi. That semi left the scene, and Schultz was pronounced deceased at the scene. TA will continue providing maintenance and service repairs in parking lots, rest areas, and other locations not located along the side of the roadway. So, please let me know if that is something that has since been reinstated. So I would like to thank each and every one of you for showing up, watching the video, listening to the podcast. I have, if you do not know, the audio portion of the podcast that you could find on Spotify, Spreaker, also iTunes, has reached in the top 100, actually the top 50 of all trucking podcasts on the internet. So thank you so much for all my avid listeners and my weekly listeners. I try so hard to get a podcast out to all of you great listeners every week. I just struggle because I'm doing the YouTube video and also the audio at the same time. So I wouldn't have to re-record it and forget what I said on the video. So thank you so much for being a continued listener. If you are on YouTube, and the word I was trying to remember at the beginning of the show is algorithm. So I finally remembered the word. This is what the gray hair is doing. And please like, share, subscribe to this video on YouTube. It does help the show to get out there and be on in the algorithm. So I'll definitely spit it out. Thank you to all our new subscribers. We have went from 750 subscribers this time last year to over 2,200 subscribers. So the channel is growing on YouTube. Thank you so much for everybody liking and subscribing. Please continue to do so. Please continue to share this podcast. So I hope all of you have a great Sunday, great rest of your week, and thank you again so much.